I'm telling you, this trip has been extraordinary.
Hi, I'm Joe, and welcome to Motor City Boat Werks. Let's get to work.
Let me welcome you back to the show. This is the final video in a series covering my recent trip to the Friesland region of the Netherlands. We've chartered a 9-meter steel Dutch trawler from a local charter company. If you've been watching the channel, you know that I'm restoring a 1986 Albin 27 pocket trawler. I've stripped it down to a bare hull, and now I'm beginning to put it back together. This trip is an opportunity for my wife and I to get back on a boat and refresh our cruising experience. It's also an opportunity for me to try out many different items that I might want to consider putting into the boat that I'm rebuilding. Be sure to check out the prior 2 episodes where I talk about this boat that we're using and 15 tips that will help you in your small yacht boat building project. Stick with me as I cover 10 lessons learned from my small yacht restoration. I'm going to be talking frankly about the boat that we're using to take our trip throughout the Netherlands. And I want to be very clear that the Simmership 900 is a fantastic boat. It was flawless in operation in every single way. Yacht Weterville does an amazing job of providing quality boats with all of the features and amenities that you might need for extended cruising in the Netherlands. Our trip has taken us all throughout the Friesland region. Friesland is a province in the Netherlands. It's located northeast of Amsterdam. Friesland has a rich history dating back to the 4th century. It has its own language. What's unique about this region is that almost all of the cities are interconnected by a series of waterways. We've been cruising for more than a week through Friesland, and our trip will soon be coming to an end. As we travel the rivers, lakes, and canals, our trip has only gotten better and better. Each town has proven to be even better than the last. We're about halfway through our 2-week tour of the Friesland region of the Netherlands.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Today we're going to be moving from Harlingen to the largest town in eastern Netherlands, a town called Leeuwarden. Now, Harlingen is a port city, so the waterways are quite a bit wider, and there's a lot more big boat traffic. You have to be careful. There's commercial ships and all sorts of large vessels moving about on the waterway. Ask me how I know. No trip to Friesland would be complete without a stop in the town of Franeker. The town is known for the Royal Planetarium. It's an 18th century orrery, and it's the oldest working orrery in the world. Our boat is a Simmership 900. It's a 9-meter steel Dutch trawler. It generally cruises between 4 to 6 knots. 6 knots is its maximum. That's about 7 miles per hour. It's kind of slow, but it is very relaxing. On a typical day, we wake up around 7:30 in the morning. The bridges don't open until 9 a.m., so there's no point in getting moving before then. You have to wait for the harbor masters to be ready to start opening everything up. But once we're underway, we usually travel about 2 or 3 hours. We arrive in our next time, usually right after lunch. We find a berth and then set up for the night. On a day like today, the weather's just great. It's a smooth ride. You can move about the cabin or make some lunch or even sit out back and enjoy the sun. Right here, we're passing what's called an aqueduct. Instead of the canal going underneath the highway, it It goes over it. In the larger towns, you may have to wait for the harbor master to come back from lunch. They post the hours outside the bridge, and they'll generally take an hour off for lunch and maybe another shorter break sometime in the afternoon. You just have to kind of wait around for them to come back. You can tie up on the side of the canal or just hold your spot in place. You can see all the boats kind of queued up waiting for the harbor master to come back from lunch. Our boat has a bow and a stern thruster. It makes sitting in place very, very easy. This is one of the things that I was most excited about getting to try out. I'm telling you, after using a bow and stern thruster, you're going to want one on your boat. In the Warden, you can park your boat within sight of the town's 15th century tower. The canal goes right through the center of town with beautiful parks on either side of the waterway.
This is the tower behind me for the city of Leeuwarden. It's actually leaning to the side. It leans more than the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Oh, look at this. Whoa. Whoa, you can feel it. You can feel it leaning. Yeah, everything is not horizontal. That's wild. Come on now, hit it. Oh. Everyone comes down on the hot days to play in the canal. It's a great place to overnight. Even though I'm away from the boat works, sometimes I can't help myself. I'm always thinking, what can I learn? How can I bring something back to my boat project? This trip has taught me 10 lessons for my small boat restoration. If you haven't figured it out by now, small boats can go just about anywhere. You know, one of the things I want to point out is that the advantage of having a smaller boat, a boat that's under 30 foot, is that you can squeeze into a lot of places for overnighting or for picking up water, or you can't do that when you have a larger boat. There's just not enough room, and it becomes quite difficult to maneuver in very tight confines, you know, to get to where you need to be. When you have a boat that's under 30 foot, you can very surgically kind of get yourself in somewhere to do what you need to do. The other advantage of having a smaller boat is that everything costs less. Everywhere you go, things are measured and the cost is associated with how long you are, how long the boat is, and the number of people that you have on board. When you have a boat that's 40, 50, 60 feet long, you're going to be paying for that every moment of every day in every way. Now, I know it's really popular on YouTube. Young couples go out and they find the most gigantic steel boat that they can possibly get their hands on, or perhaps a 40, 50, 60-foot ocean racer that they're going to remodel and use for extended cruising. That's all well and good. It's fantastic. But my question is, how are you going to pay for it? Have you ever tried or considered what it's going to cost to park a 60-foot ocean racing yacht that draws 8 feet of water? There's only so many places you can go, and a lot of those places, they're going to charge you top dollar. This is something that all boaters needs to think about. Your budget for your boat is not just associated to rebuilding the boat or remodeling it or anything like that. There's also a budget associated with the cruising costs, and it costs exponentially more to have a larger boat for long-term cruising. You've heard me say this before. It's the little details that matter. I want to talk about two other things which I think are important if you're designing or building or restoring your old boat. And these, I think, are really important safety items. The first thing is, one of the things that I noticed on this boat is it was difficult going up and down the stairs sometimes. And that's because the stairs are almost at 12 inches to the first step, and another 11 and a half to the next step. This is too far for a person to be stepping up and down inside of a boat. They really should only be about 9 or 10 inches. And if you have the opportunity in your boat, make sure you take a look at the height of your stairs. The last thing I want to point out is that inside your pilot house, inside your salon, and throughout the boat, there has to be handholds somewhere that a person can hold onto and steady themselves as they move throughout the boat. In particular, at the helm, there's got to be some sort of handle for the helmsman to kind of hold on to and possibly brace themselves. But more importantly, every time you climb in and out of the boat, every time you step down into the forward cabin, there's got to be a handheld that you can hold on to.
It's the propulsion system that makes this thing go. The engine in this boat performed flawlessly. In just the last couple of years, this boat has been repowered. The 40 horsepower Nenny diesel engine pushed the boat along very smoothly. Even with the strong currents on some of the waterways, there was no need for more power. This particular engine utilized a hydraulic transmission. It was very smooth. It was something I never really thought about, but I'm definitely going to consider when I do the repower on my Albin 27. If you're doing a repower or you're installing a new engine in your boat project, make sure you do some research so you have an idea of what size you need and what features you really want. Trust me, when it's raining, you're going to want some ventilation on those hot days. I talked about this in a previous episode. On this trip, we experienced some extreme weather. You have to have ventilation at the helm, in the bathroom, and in your sleeping quarters. It makes a significant difference in how comfortable you are long term. You also need opening portholes to get a nice cross breeze, and your forward hatch needs to be oriented towards the bow of the boat. I never thought I'd say this, but having a low-tech boat, it can be a real blessing. I want to tell you another lesson that I learned from this trip to the Netherlands, and that is, we often think that we have to have all of the latest and greatest gadgets on our boat. We need to have radar and depth sounders, knot meters, electronic chart plotters, and all sorts of elaborate navigational electronics. And what this trip has reminded me is that it's perfectly acceptable to kind of get by with the bare minimum. This entire 2-week trip, I've navigated essentially by using the local Dutch navigational charts. Kind of old school, but it really was quite simple. I never had to worry about the nav not working. I never had to worry about the electronics not updating. It was just very low tech. The only thing that I really needed on a rare occasion was a position fix, which I got from my cell phone. And using a knot meter app, I was kind of able to judge my speed. But frankly, when you're going this slow, once you figure out what 6 knots looks like, well, you pretty much know what you're doing. This is all just a reminder that when you're building your boat, when you're putting in your electronics suite and you're trying to figure out what options you need, really think about the type of cruising that you're going to be doing. And what is it? What's the bare minimum that you're really going to need? And keep it simple. Don't make it too complicated. This has caused me to think about and rethink what are the electronics that I'm going to put into my navigational suite, and what will be the items that are must-have and the things that are really just kind of extra stuff cluttering up my helm space. I think the message is you got to improve your standard of cruising. The last lesson brings me to kind of a similar topic, which is just like there are some items maybe you don't need for your navigational suite, there are other items that you really do need for your boat, and you ought to think about what are the essential kind of luxury items that will really change your standard of cruising, take it to the next level, make it quite a bit more enjoyable. For me, on this trip, without a doubt, it's having the bow and stern thrusters. Now, I don't know that you really need to have 2 thrusters on a 30-foot boat or smaller, but without a doubt, I'm going to spend the money and install putting in at least 1 thruster on my Albin 27. It'll probably be a stern thruster. I think that makes sense, and it'll be the easiest and cheapest to install. What I learned from having the bow thruster on this whole trip was that it just made docking so easy. It removed all of the drama and the kind of clown circus of running around and things not going the way you wanted when there was current or wind or just a tiny tight space that people don't think you can get into. When you have a bow thruster and you know how to use it, man, you can get into just about anywhere. This type of big ticket item really is worth it. It'll change the way you cruise, and it's something that I'm going to install in my boat.
It's no secret I like to eat, and I think a well thought out galley is important to any boat. So being back in the galley cooking again, this just reminds me that I think it's really a good idea. You need a lot of counter space, to actually cook and have it be a pleasant experience. I think a 1-burner stove is appropriate. This one has 2. I haven't even used the second one, so it just doesn't seem to make sense. The meals are relatively simple that I'm cooking on a boat, so I'm going to go with a single burner. In this case, it'll probably be some type of an induction hub, and I think that's really going to be the way to go. Quickly warm up a pan or skillet and be able to do my cooking. Just a few years ago, induction cooking hadn't really found its foothold in boating. It was great for when you were at the dock and you're running off of shore power, but to be underway, the electrical requirements for the induction, it was just too much. But with the recent improvement of lithium batteries, it's really possible now to have induction cooking, used at the dock, and when you're away on the water, it will work because the induction burner warms up so fast, and you don't actually use as much energy and electricity as you think you would. Your sleeping berths on your boat, they're more important than you think. If you've been watching my channel, you know that I'm not a fan of V-berths on boats. I think the sleeping arrangements in the V-berth of a boat is really not that great, especially for long-term cruising. I think a much better solution is some type of a side entry or walk-around bed. This is for long-term cruising. I'm not talking about when you're out at sea. If you're designing or restoring your boat, you really need to think about the sleeping accommodations and how you're going to use them long term. It can have a dramatic impact on your comfort when you're on the boat. Don't take my word for it. You need to get out there and sample a lot of different boats.
Here's a lesson that I learned on this trip. There was a real advantage to coming to the Netherlands and chartering a boat for 2 weeks, choosing a boat that was similar to the one that I'm working on insofar as some of the specs and the overall space and layout. If you're building a boat, if you're starting to build a boat, you're trying to choose what design it is you want to build. It really is to your advantage to spend some time on some different boats that are like what you're thinking about building. It gives you an idea of what you would like, what you might not like, and the only way to know is to actually try it. You can try and imagine, you can mock it up in your workshop and do some measurements and try and get an idea what the space is like. But until you're actually on the boat and you're moving about on it for a period of time, a couple days, a couple nights, you can't really understand, what's an 18-inch doorway like? What's it like when you go in a head that only has 4 square feet or 10 square feet? It becomes really obvious what your personal standards are for, man, I just need more room. I just need 3 inches more here or 2 inches more over here. And it may make a big difference in the boat that you're building. My advice is to get on a lot of boats. Try out a boat similar to the one you're going to be building. Check it out. See if it's what you really, really want. You don't want to build that thing and then realize, man, this is not the boat for you. Think ahead.
If I learn one thing from this trip, it has to be the journey is the adventure. It seems like we started this trip just a few days ago, but now we only have a few days left. In the back of my mind, when I started this trip, I was thinking about, should I just go ahead and buy a boat and stop trying to build one in my boat shop? More than one person has mocked me. They made fun of the fact that it's taking so long for me to actually get my boat built. They asked me, are you ever going to get that thing done? Are you ever going to go cruising? Some people just don't get it. This trip has reminded me that it's really about the process. You build a boat because you want to build a boat, not because you want to go cruising. The Simmership 900 is an amazing boat, but it's just not for me. My boat, back in the Boat Works, is going to be just right. It'll be just the way I like it. With all its ups and downs, it might take a long time to get this thing done, but I just think that it's going to be worth it. And who knows, in the meantime, maybe I can take another boat trip to sample another boat.
I just love traveling on days like today. This is my kind of weather. A little bit overcast, nice and breezy. The temperature's real cool.
I think our favorite stop so far is the tiny town of Dokkum in the north of Friesland. You enter the town by paying the bridge keeper a small fee. They put it inside a wooden shoe.
That's amazing. I love it.
With a little bit of tight maneuvering, we're able to park right underneath a giant windmill. You know, the channel just recently reached 2,000 subscribers. We're well on our way to becoming the best little amateur boat restoration and boat building channel on YouTube. If you like this content, I invite you to subscribe. And please consider supporting the channel through Patreon. Become one of our workers, part of our fan base, and help me keep this channel going. Thanks again for stopping by. We'll see you next time. Stay motivated. I'm in the middle of nowhere. We flew from Detroit to the Netherlands last night. We arrived in Amsterdam at 5:30 in the morning. We took the train from Amsterdam to a place called Akrum, which is in Friesland, right? Where we're going to be picking up the boat. But from Akrum to the yacht basin, which is in a little tiny hamlet town called Taherne, is like 3.5 miles. But there's really no way to walk there because there's all kinds of canals and stuff around here. So we had to take a bus to another spot where we can now walk 40 minutes into town, or we could wait an hour and a half for the next bus to come. We decided we're gonna keep moving. But if you can see, there's nothing out here.